You're okay with running it, Fred, till Andrea gets here?
Tis the appropriate moment. If the chair arrives, I will pass the gavel. The meeting is called to order. Would the secretary call the roll?
Andrea Zielinski, Ken Hoffheim,
Present.
John Seward,
Here.
Dan Prather,
Here.
Stuart Leibowitz,
Here.
Fred Dayton,
Here.
Phil Graywander,
Here.
Brad Johnson,
Here.
Pat Lewandowski.
Here. Okay, have you had an opportunity to review the minutes of the preceding meeting?
Right, can we start with just a couple of introductions? We've got a couple new commissioners this month.
Okay, if you would like to handle that.
Yeah, I think we just go around the table. We've got Phil's a new commissioner and Dan is our new commissioner, and maybe introduce ourselves and we'll just go around the table real quick.
Well, I'm probably the newbie here. I've only been here 9 years, so I heard some of you have been here quite a bit longer. Just wanted to join. My background is in the oil and gas industry, so not in public works per se. So sounds interesting. Hope I can help.
Awesome.
Stuart, go ahead.
Stuart Leibowitz.
I'm Darren Anderson. I'm the city engineer in Public Works.
And Ryan here, spent time with both of you guys earlier this week in orientation.
Ken Hoffheim, I'm a retired engineer and taking my surveyor license for a little while. I worked with Lone Rock Timber for nearly 40 years. Brad Johnson, also oil and gas industry in the past. I'm Palm Basin Water for 20 years. Southern California. We worked up there, but mainly I was on the coast.
I'm Justin Brenner. I'm one of the city staff engineers.
Pat Lewandowski, just a concerned citizen.
I'm Dan Prather. I'm the project manager for Jacobs at the Russo wastewater plant. Been in town for 2 years now.
John Seward, semi-retired geotech engineer.
Fred Dayton, I am long since retired. I was an appraiser, right-of-way consultant, and effective next month, I will be 54 years on one or another commission continuously within the city. At this time, I'll pass the gavel to the chair.
Thank you, Fred. And I'm Andrea Zielinski. I'm the chair and serve on city council. I am late. I work in Wilbur. It takes a while to get it. So, welcome everybody. Did we do roll call?
We did roll call. We're at minutes now.
Okay, so has everybody had a chance to look over the minutes?
I'll move to reapprove the minutes.
Have a motion, have a second?
Second.
Just a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? All right. Thank you. And let's see, so we have some discussion items. Culvert replacement.
Yeah, so I'll be testing this one. So this is a project that opened.
Did everybody get the handout from Chanel?
Shut up.
Thank you. So this is for the Pear Creek culvert replacement. We're bringing the results from Tuesday's bid to today's meeting. So a little statement, history and background here. The city received bids for the Pear Creek culvert replacement project. The issue for the commission is whether to forward a recommendation to city council to reject all bids. These bids were received on Tuesday of this week. During the March 2025 floods, the culverts that carry Pear Creek under Southeast Eddy Street, Southeast King Street and Southeast Giles Street were damaged. Temporary repairs were installed in 2025 to allow local access, but permanent repairs are required. An additive alternate bid was included to replace Southeast Ichabod Street culvert crossing in a similar fashion as the other 3 crossings. These are all kind of in a row going up Pear Creek. This is an additive as it did not sustain any damage from the flood events. However, it is of the same age and similar condition as the other crossings. So will be included in the construction scope if the bids for it and the funding allow. The locations of the creek crossings are shown on figure 1 and figure 2 of this agenda.
The original.
The original agenda, sorry about that. The construction bid documents were advertised for bid on February 4th, 2026. And bids were opened on March 10th of 2026. During the bid review period, it was discovered that 2 bids that were submitted electronically were detained in the city's email security quarantine and were inaccessible by city staff during the bid opening. Also, it's come to our attention that Scrivener's error had occurred in the information for bidder section of the bid form, and it caused confusion about the specific requirements to submit a bid. Based on this information, the bids cannot be accepted and the project will require a rebid. Financial discussion will be presented at the following commission meeting to award the rebid. Project timing issues and discussions will be presented at the following commission meeting to award the rebid. Staff tentatively plans to rebid the project on March 24th, 2026, and open bids on April 14, 2026. Take the results to a special session of Public Works Commission meeting and present the recommendations to the City Council on April 27th of 2026. Public Works Commission can provide its recommendation to City Council to A, request additional information, or B, recommend that the city reject all bids. Staff recommends that the commission forward a recommendation to City Council to reject all bids. Questions?
Questions about them?
If they reject all bids, then what is the process for fixing those streets?
So we're gonna rebid it for advertisement and start the process for advertising over again.
Okay, how long does that usually take on average?
We're gonna do a 3-week bid process, starting here in a few weeks.
Okay, so not too long.
Yeah, not too long.
Okay.
The plan is to still try to get these constructed this summer during our water work period.
Does the second culvert have to be fish friendly as well? Or?
They all do.
Oh,
Yeah.
But only doing 2 of the 4 currently, correct?
The plan is to do all 4.
Oh, okay.
3 for the base bid and then the 4th as an alternate.
We did have, as they're mentioning, the most 7 bids. The bids, we had some favorable bids within the engineer's estimate within our budget. But based on how things were submitted, there would be a protest on it and likely wouldn't get constructed this summer. So the decision, the reason we're bringing this today is to present the issue, potentially get it rejected, and then get it back out for bid, where we don't get a protest cycle.
Do I have a motion?
I move to recommend the City Council reject all bids for the Parrot Creek Culvert Replacement Project.
Motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you, everyone. And then now we're going to talk about water master plan.
All right. I'm up.
Excuse me, what is the time for public speaking?
It's gonna come after this.
Okay.
Okay, so next up, we'll be talking about the water master plan and the request for qualifications that we put out to have a consultant do the plan for us. The city's existing water master plan is at this point about 16 years old, and it needs an update due to the urban growth boundary swap that recently occurred and other recent developments and changes. Staff recently completed a qualifications-based and pricing proposal-based selection process for engineering services related to the development of a new water master plan. The issue for the commission's consideration today is to whether to recommend the city council award an engineering service contract for the new water master plan development. So a little bit of background for you. The Oregon Health Authority, through OAR Chapter 333, requires that all domestic water providers with 300 or more service connections have to have a master plan of their system to guide expansion and maintenance for at least a 20-year period. The city of Roseburg contracts with a consultant to develop this water master plan to determine how to maintain or upgrade the city water treatment plant, distribution and storage systems, in the most effective and cost-efficient manner. The projects and recommendations that are established as part of this water master plan will be made into a capital improvement plan that we will use to budget and prioritize improvement projects in the future. To determine the most qualified candidate to do this for us, city staff prepared a request for qualifications, or an RFQ, that interested consulting firms can submit their submittals on. The RFQ was scored in 2 different phases. The first phase was a qualifications-based, and the second phase was pricing or a proposal-based. The scoring criteria for the RFQ was intended to allow submitters to showcase their experience, qualifications, their vision and overall pricing, and also their value. The RFQs were advertised on November 7th, 2025. Statements of qualifications, or SOQs, were received on December 18th, 2025 from 3 consultants. The SOQs were initially reviewed based on the phase 1 criteria, which was strictly qualifications based. No mention to pricing at that point. The SOQs were reviewed and ranked by a staff committee of 3 public works staff members. The results of the first phase, or the first review scoring phase, are located in Table 1. So here in Table 1, you can see that there are 3 different proposers that submitted SOQs to us. The first one was Consort North America. The second one was Keller and Associates. And the third was Water Service Consulting, or WSC. And you can see in this one that we had ranked them, and we had given them an averaged score. And you can see that in the column to the right, the average review score. And at this phase, let me continue. After the first phase of review was completed, staff asked the 3 submitters to provide a pricing proposal based on the water master plan template and scope that we had developed, what we wanted to see in the water master plan. The results of the second phase of the review are shown in Table 2. The scores were based on an overall price, the hourly cost that they associated to it, and the hourly cost of the individual involved, and the perceived value. So the second phase was, we looked at what they were going to provide and how they were going to price it to us. And as you can see on this one, we ranked the 3 after our review. Keller and Associates ranked the highest with 13.67. Consort North America was in our second place with 11.33. And then Water Service Consulting was ranked number 3. Now, one thing that we want to kind of make clear at this point is based on Oregon law, we can't accept an RFQ based on pricing alone. We need to have it based on qualifications first, and then a portion of our overall review score could be based on their pricing proposal. So what we did is we had a total scoring of 100 points. That was our grading criteria. The first phase, which was strictly the qualifications based, there was a total of 85 points that we gave to each of the proposers or submitters. And then we can only give a maximum of 15 points, or 15% is what we're allowed. We can only give a maximum score of 15 based on the pricing alone. So this would make it so that if somebody comes in with a really, really low cost, but really poor qualifications, that we don't necessarily have to go with that person. So we look at who's qualified and who has good pricing for us. So we looked at both of those combined. So based on the final scoring that we did internally, Consor North America was ranked the highest. Keller and Associates was very close behind in second place, and WSC was third. So the financial considerations. The financial year 2025 to 2026 adopted water fund includes $500,000 for the development of a water master plan. So that's what we have set aside for this task. The pricing proposal developed by the highest rated proposer, Consor North America, was for $379,926. Staff reserved the option to accept this amount as they gave to us from the pricing proposal, and that is our intent. So we have the option to negotiate, but we also reserve the right to take their cost that they gave us and to use it for the process, for the water master plan development. The timing for this: if the commission provides a recommendation to award the contract, it will be presented to the city council at their March 23rd, 2026 meeting. The contract would be executed soon after the award. The timeline to prepare and develop the water master plan is approximately 1 year, with a completion scheduled for summer of 2027. The Public Works Commission has the following options. A, recommend the city council award the water master plan engineering contract to Consor North America for $379,926, or B, request additional information, or C, recommend not moving forward with a water master plan at this time. Staff recommends that the commission forward a recommendation to the city council to award the water master plan engineering contract to Consor North America for a cost of $379,926.
Any questions?
Yes, the way you develop the weight for the ranking, obviously put a whole lot of weight on the qualifications overall over the price considerable.
Yes.
There's quite a bit of differential in the pricing between Consor and Keller.
Yes, there was.
Like 25%. Where did that weight concept come from based on 25? Essentially, it's 25%. Looks like it's 25% or 20% greater in the pricing.
Yeah, that's a good question. So that weight was based on the Oregon law. So we can only give a proposer a maximum of 15% of their total score based on their pricing.
Okay. Do we have experience with either one of the two outfits?
We do. So Consor North America which used to be Murray Smith and a number of different other names. They did our last 2 water master plans. And so that was probably one of the reasons why they scored so high on the qualifications-based part of it, because they know our system very, very well. They know what problems we are up against, and they have a good idea of what we want to see for improvements. So that gave them a good edge in the qualifications-based portion of it. However, they were the worst in the scoring. And so, or excuse me, the worst in the pricing scoring. They gave us the highest price to do the job. And so our job was to look and see what kind of perceived value that we were to get from somebody like Consor and their team that they were presenting us based on the other proposers and their price and their team. And so it was our job to kind of see what we were getting for what they were proposing. Good question. Huh?
Any other questions?
So Consor North America used to be Murray Smith,
Yes,
and they designed our water plant,
they did.
amongst other things.
And they're currently designing the 24-inch transmission main job.
Well,
So they're familiar with the system for sure.
they do know our system. Although I think Murray and Smith are retired, or no longer with the system.
Likely.
Any other questions? We have a motion.
Well, we've been talking about the need for an updated water master plan now for a year or 2. And we finally reached the point where we're ready to move on this. Are there any more questions about the procedure, or?
Also-
I'm ready to make a motion, but I don't want to make it if somebody has additional questions.
One thing that I can add, and I think one thing that you have requested in the past, Fred, is that the Consort North America in their scope and their plan includes a number of workshops that they are going to do for the Public Works Commission. I think it's at least one, if I'm remembering, I think it's maybe 2. So, so during the development of the plan, they can showcase what their findings are to the commission. So you guys have an idea of what they are proposing, what they're planning to do, but they're planning to add it into their plan. And at that point, we can kind of feel out to make sure that their plans are what we and the commission want.
Bill?
Since it's the same outfit that originally designed the plant,
Correct.
I would assume they'd be a little bit more biased towards the way the plant is run currently. Do y'all feel that they're open to new concept, new technologies, new chemistries that somebody from another company would be willing to look at?
That's a good question, and that might be something that we can bring up during the plan development to see if there is something that they could implement that is not a part of their base design for the plant, and to see if there's anything that is cost effective that we can do to achieve that. So they're going to take a look at any kind of needs or updates that we need, and then they'll find, hopefully, the most effective and cost-efficient options to achieve those things. So based on their findings, we'll see what their recommendations are.
Any other?
And I would move to recommend the city council award the master plan development contract to Consor North American for $379,926.
Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Anybody opposed?
Follow up, if anybody wants a hard copy of the existing water master plan on the counter behind, you can grab one and see that's it. It's an old document, but it kind of shows the road work and where we're headed with this new master plan. And it might bring up some questions and comments as we get into those work study sessions.
30 years, the old one.
2009.
The biggest change that I see coming is Charter Oaks, or a piece of it, coming into the urban growth boundary. And over the years, I chaired 3 public hearings on bringing Charter Oaks in. And you could smell the hot tar burning out in front of the city hall every time. In 1972, the state shut off all building permits out there because you couldn't put in a septic system in that soil condition. And so you've had all of this land laying idle that is comparatively level as compared to the hillsides we've been developing, that you could have had competitive priced housing created if you had put sewer in there. We already have, I believe, an 8-inch water main going out there. We may have to upgrade the water if we have some enough development occur. But water has been available out there for all these years. It was there when the city bought the water system. And so you have seen this land laying undeveloped when it was the logical growth direction for the city. And now it appears that we're finally going to get it into an urban growth boundary and perhaps inside the city limits. And allow us that level of development. But anyway, it's something that has been discussed, but never fully addressed because it was never in the urban growth boundary.
Are there still people that'll die on the cross on that?
Oh, yes. Yeah, there's still people that have the hot tar. Oh, yes. I wasn't kidding when I said that. The names changed, the faces changed, the words remained the same. Something that you might find interesting, but George Grubb was the Director of Public Works back in the days when we had the ONC funds. And he had designed a bridge going across, or I don't mean construction plans, but they had laid out a bridge and a road through Charter Oaks and a clover leaf where Melrose Road ties into Garden Valley. And if you think of all the accidents and the people who've been killed there, what could have been developed? But he held a public hearing on that. And After that, he went home and finished off a bottle of whiskey, and when he recovered in the morning or noon, he went home and went into the courthouse and submitted his retirement papers. That, and that's not offhand, that's personal knowledge. But that's how controversial this has been for 50 odd years. But we're ready to move, and it's the right time for a water plan update.
Why is, I'm new, why is everybody so upset about the concept of putting that in and putting sewer and water in? The cost?
Taxes.
Well,
Taxes. Increased taxes.
They wouldn't be assessed to the property owners there, or get word of it?
Because there's, the existing people don't want to have the city,
And their taxes go up.
yes.
Okay,
Eggs
I
are
got you.
cheaper in the country.
I'm a little slow.
beyond the tax issue, they lived in a rural environment on the edge of the city, and their rural neighborhood not growing satisfied them quite well.
Take care of your own.
No. If we had the copy of the hearings, it would amaze you, some of the things that were said. But we would get the city council to agree to bite the bullet and take them in, and the county commissioners would fold on us. Next round, the county commissioners would agree to it, and the city council would fold on us. And I was on the planning commission when all this was going on. And we were trying real hard to bring that area in for development purposes. And well, here we are 50 years later, and it hasn't happened.
Right.
But it is going to change the demands on the water system if we have major development out there.
It sure will. Okay, so now it's audience participation. I do think it's somebody who participates.
Thank you. I'm glad you guys can hear me. Today, thank you for giving me my time. I know they don't connect at first. It's kind of a city issue as well as a public works issue, but they will tie together. My name's Sarah Landeros. My husband and I own the property at 18 properties at 1867 Southeast Main Street. We're adjacent to the Parrot Creek watershed property located at 1843 Southeast Main. We're to address a critical safety and environmental hazard regarding the neighbor property that has been neglected for decades. The immediate hazard is 7 massive trees that have historically stabilized the creek bank. 4 years ago, we had one fall and destroy our greenhouse. The remaining trees are structurally falling and dangerously close to active power lines. Every bad windstorm, we worry about one falling down on our house or our property. So my first question is, for the record, what can be done to mitigate these trees now before they cause a power outage or further damage to our property and the neighboring properties? Also in the summer, this property is a major fire hazard. It's seriously overgrown and the grass is rarely mowed. We cut it by our side just for safety measures. I reported this property to the city multiple times over the last 5 years. My in-laws who own house creation reported this property to them as well. Since the erosion part of this that connects to the Parrot Creek culvert project, since the March 2025 floods, erosion has accelerated tenfold. Large chunks of concrete, which appear to be broken pieces of culverts and or road chunks that fell into the creek last March. These chunks are now acting as partial dams, diverting the flow and eating away at the bank. It takes at least a foot of the bank, not our property, but it's coming towards us. It's probably about 2 or 3 feet from trying to take our property. And when it rains really hard, we have way more, we had like 10 by 3 foot chunks fall off that bank before. So the land is undeveloped, according to Dennis Randolph, the past city code enforcer office, and William White, a retired realtor. An arborist said that the timber is not worth anything as well. And the owner is almost 4 years behind on the taxes on his property as well. It's been for sale for over a decade. In the past, squatters on the property have eroded the bank by removing vegetation. They've also left things like batteries in the creek and done permanent damage to the banks and the actual watershed, the creek itself. I also have videos and pictures available that I'm going to send to the Public Works Commission, so if anyone wants to look at those, I encourage you to take a look at the videos of this property. The owner has even started fires on site and attempted to extort our family for money. My in-laws, as well as me and my husband, through having trash on the property, and said, hey, if you give us so-and-so amount of money, I'll clean up your trash, get out of here. Now, the city has cleaned up this property multiple times for homelessness, or for the squatters. I appreciate that. But because the property is effectively abandoned and damaging the watershed, I'm asking for the following clarifications. Regarding concrete debris, are these chunks of concrete from the city's culverts and or roads? And will they be removed as part of the upcoming project to stop the diverted erosion and enforce the creek banks? They also are in danger of going downstream and blocking one of the main culverts going under Main Street as well. Regarding the trees, will the city please coordinate with the utility provider to prune or remove these trees hazards before they strike the power lines or damage surrounding properties and homes? Regarding ownership, given the tax delinquency and the owner's refusal to maintain the site, will the city consider taking possession of this land to stabilize the bank and protect the creek? In closing, I think we need a proactive situation and solution before the next storm causes a power failure or the creek claims more of the land. And I appreciate your time and thank you for listening to me. I believe this is a big problem. It's something we've been dealing with since we bought the property, since I lived there 12 years ago. And it is not getting any better. The storm made it incredibly worse. I do encourage you to take any videos that I sent to the email. If you can't find them or anything, I'd be glad to share them with you myself. But this has been a big problem for our property, and I don't see it getting better. It's starting like layers start to go down. So just take a look at the pictures and tell me what you think. I appreciate everything. I know Darren's been helpful. I'm taking it you're Darren. Are you Darren? Darren? Oh, Darren's been very helpful. Ryan, maybe, I don't know. Anyhow, I don't see faces when I talk to you guys on the phone or in emails. But you guys have been very helpful. You have kept me updated, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate everything the city can do to work with the Public Works Department and possibly fix this while we're doing the project. Because if that doesn't, like I said, it can plug that other culvert, and that'd be really bad. Like, once you see the videos and pictures, that river or that creek turned into a raging river. It took out our neighbor behind it. It took out his whole shop area, and half of like his yard was flooded. It was really bad. So if we get another one like that, it will take some of those trees off the bank. And whether or not they're leaning towards the creek, but the one that fell on our greenhouse, which you'll see pictures in there of the destroyed greenhouse. I tried to contact the owner of the property, sent him a registered letter, everything, spoke with Dennis, everyone tried to get that remedied. Nothing's ever happened with that. It was only like a $1,500 treehouse, or greenhouse, so it wasn't worth our money to pay for it, with insurance or anything, so we just rebuilt it. But it was, it fell and it was leaning that way, just how the wind blew. These other trees are massive. I'm saying 100+ feet, maybe more. So it's very dangerous, and it really is attached to that sensitive watershed area, because they're in essence holding that bank up. And so what we're kind of concerned about is when they do go in a storm, it's going to take that bank with it, which could possibly be our property. There's only about 10 feet, some parts maybe just 3 feet from our property line. So it's going to eventually start taking our property. So I have to talk to my insurance agent and everything about that. So we're just trying to kind of stop it before it becomes a problem, and we care about that watershed. This home's been in my husband's family for almost 50 years now, and we're just trying to protect it for future generations and try to protect the watershed as well. So I appreciate anything you guys can do to help mitigate this problem and stop it from becoming the worst problem in the future. your time, I appreciate it. And just let me know if you want the videos or pictures, if they can't get them for you, just contact me. And they can probably give you my information, or I'd be happy to give it to you after the meeting, but thank you for listening to me, I appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you.
Darren, is there anything that, city can really do on a piece of private property like that?
We just got this later this morning, so still trying to understand all the issues, and I'll probably meet with Sarah and look at it. It is private property. The city doesn't have rights to get on the property. We don't have easement. The creek's not an easement. But I also want to talk about community development, because I think that's who Sarah's been working with in the past, because it is a private property issue. And just get a little bit of history first and understand what's been done and what still needs to be done.
Brian, what stream are we speaking?
It's Parrot Creek. It's between Eddy and Main Street.
Okay,
That stretch
so-
between Eddy and Main.
So it is the stream that we're going to be dealing with on the culvert issue. Are the culvert issues going to be of any assistance to her?
No, I think the area that you're referring to, and I don't know exactly where, I know it's between those blocks. I don't know where at, but it's downstream of the culverts. I would say probably at least 50 feet, maybe further.
Okay,
So it's all non-navigable and not, the state doesn't know either, so they don't see the stream center line there.
Well, in this particular block, the creek bisects a property owned by another individual in town. The creek almost bisects it into two halves almost perfectly. And that's why Sarah mentioned it's not really developable, because it doesn't leave enough property on either side of the creek to build on.
The city boundaries in that area are really,
Yeah.
so I guess the question I've got is that, is it county or city?
It's city.
It is, okay. Sorry.
Move on to informational. Do you have anything?
Little project update, with our contractors back in town, continuing with the water line replacement on Pine Street. So if you're traveling through that area during the day, it'll be restricted to one lane. So contractors working to get that pipe in, because they're in residential areas. We're having them work during the day versus at night, so we're not keeping people up at night.
I've been through there a couple of times. I haven't seen that the traffic's been able to flow fairly well. I mean, at least my experience.
And they're required to keep one lane open, and I think they've been adhering to that for the most part.
It's like we've had a few pesky people, but.
And I think they just started mainline Tuesday.
Yeah, started mainline just this week on Pineville South. They were working on services and other things the last 2 weeks, but now they're heading south again. They're going all the way to Sykes Street, which is like another 2.5 blocks. We got a little ways to go.
And then one other, I jumped the schedule a little bit. The schedule shows our next meeting April 9th. We talked about the rebid of the Pear Creek project, and we're looking at moving the April meeting to the week of the 20th, so we can get a bid award recommendation and get it to council April 27th. I need to work with Chanel to pin down a few options to get out to the commission for availability, but we're looking at either Wednesday the 22nd in the afternoon, if we want to keep an afternoon meeting, or probably Thursday morning the 23rd.
April, right?
April, yes. Okay. So we'll put a few options
23rd,
together
is that
and poll the commission.
We're
See if
looking
that's
at-
okay.
22nd in the afternoon or 23rd in the morning. I'll send out an email.
Okay.
And that's just because we want to get to an award recommendation, so we can get a contractor under contract for summer work.
I will be getting hold of you to get that scheduled. So make sure you read your emails and respond. Do you have any business from the commission?
Wheels on the new pickleball court.
Tried it?
No? It looked good.
Yeah, it was a great turnout for the ribbon cutting.
Yeah.
Andrew was there and folks, so I think the high school kids are happy. I know Val was out there the first day the girls got on. She said they were skipping across the courts there, so excited. So
Any other business? All right, we'll adjourn the meeting and we'll see each other in April.